Welcome to the Local.
A 724 podcast.
In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the show, guys. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you guys on the show. So you guys are the owners of the Westmoreland Ballet? Owners, would you call it?
Actually, no. It's a fully nonprofit organization, so the school and what we hope to build into a professional company will both be under the auspice of a nonprofit board.
Awesome. Very cool. And you guys just acquired a space here in Greensburg right on Main Street.
Correct.
Cool. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so we're at 41 North Main. It is a premium location downtown, right in the cultural district, in the heart of where we want to be. And we're right next to Fitness Envy and Yumzio Bistro, across from the courthouse with a great view of the Palace Theater. We've outfitted the space with premium dance flooring. It has the right amount of cushion for girls to, well, all dancers, to avoid injuries and have a safe surface to dance on.
That's awesome. I had no idea that there was a special floor to do ballet on. I had no idea.
Well, of course, for years and years and years, there was primarily just wood floors. But it does help to limit the number of injuries if there is a degree of cushion in the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really neat. That's cool. You learn something new every day.
Yes. And powered by volunteers. Volunteers.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Have powered this nonprofit. Yeah.
A little army of women and their agreeable gentlemen.
There you go. That's how it works. I'm married, so I know. So you guys right now are dancing out of the stage right space?
Yes, they have been extremely generous and gracious with us there. They've just been wonderful. And we're hoping that that collaboration continues. There are lots of opportunities in ballets to have people with a theater background. And there are lots of opportunities in theater where they would, maybe would need some professional dancers or ballet trained dancers.
Yeah, I could definitely see those two going hand in hand.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
sure.
We already have.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's really neat. So when do you guys think that maybe the grand opening of your space will happen?
Right. So we did a soft launch this past weekend, Friday, Sunday, and Monday. This past week we had youth grand openings. Sort of a soft launch. People got a chance to come in and see the space. Even though it wasn't completely finished, we're still perfecting the floors. So we hope that Monday, the 10th, this coming Monday, we'll be dancing on those floors and grandly opening. We'll have our grand opening gala on the 20th, though, of March.
Yeah. Yes. That's really exciting. I enjoy, kind of just hearing the Westmoreland Ballet. It's very grand. I like it because it puts me in mind of when I was in college. I always used to go see the Erie Philharmonic or, the Pittsburgh Symphony, things like that. So, having the Westmoreland Ballet, that's such a, like a grand thing to hear. I like it.
It really is. And this is an unusually culturally accepting community. So it is the perfect place for it. And we've been using the analogy of a puzzle. There are lots of pieces in this puzzle and that already exist. The theater, and you mentioned Stage Right, and there are other very good theater groups in the area, and the museum, and of course the Westmoreland Symphony, the Palace Theater.
Yeah.
So the only thing really missing is a professional ballet company. And because this community is such a unique place, I think that the ballet company here will also be a very unique thing.
Yeah.
Kind of different. Ballet in general really needs a renaissance. There are some huge problems within the ballet community. And it's part of the reason I think so many people believe that ballet is dying. It's not because it's a classic art form. It's not because it's old. It's not because it's not interesting anymore. It's because it has developed a almost toxic way of dealing, particularly with their young artists.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, what kind of problems, I guess, would you say are kind of hindering the progress of ballet?
Well, I'm not going to be a very popular person in the ballet world.
That's all right. Tell everybody I said it.
Okay.
Do you want to cover it as an educator?
Oh, Maggie can.
I'll speak to that part.
Speak to some of that. Yeah.
So my background is I have a master's degree in education, and one of the problems we see in the ballet world is that the artists end up with no livable skills past their dance career, which
Okay.
can be very short and cut short at the turn of a ankle. They go to magnet schools or they go away to college and they don't necessarily earn their way. So we're concerned that we want to make sure they have workforce development, opportunities for higher education, and an environment that allows them to actually do the studies and do the work and gain the skills so that they can make a living past their career.
Yeah. I mean,
It's sort of an incubator.
It is, and I also think that education in the ballet world in general is very narrowly focused. They'll see a talented child and they'll tell her, "Oh, well, you're going to be a ballerina," and of course, this talented young person loves it because
sure.
they're gifted, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they don't. They disconnect from the rest of the world. They
Okay.
disconnect from life. They can't, it's just not good for these young people to not be striving academically.
Yeah.
It really hinders them later in life because these same kids, you'll have a 14-year-old at a ridiculously young age, very talented, accepted into a company as an apprentice. She has this lovely teenage gangly body, and they love that. And then she develops.
Yeah.
She develops physically. And they no longer think of her as this wonderful little ingenue. And then she's no longer like the cream in the class, the perfect person in the class.
Right.
And she gets to be 18, she gets to be 20, and she never wants to see another plie again, but she can't read past an 8th grade level.
Yeah.
It's appalling. And then you have these other people who manage to have professional careers, who manage to go all the way through maybe even principal, soloist careers, high-end careers. But they get to the end of their career and they've nowhere really to go. Who are they if they aren't dancers? There's not enough address to the physical health and the mental health of dancers in general,
Yeah.
in companies, in the world, period. And, I've often thought that really has to change. Ballet in itself is just this hugely wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It provides all these positives for young people who are training. It provides a sense of self-discipline, a sense of aspiration, time management. I mean, the skills it develops in young people, it makes them really have personal integrity. It develops those quality things. The paradox is that once they get to the point where they're ready to move on and elsewhere, the rest of the ballet world takes those things and crushes it into the ground.
Yeah.
And that I've always felt for all of my life has to change.
Yeah.
And when I was approached by this group of really dynamic, wonderful, driven people, I began to think to myself, okay, well, it has to change. Why not here? Why not start here? What's wrong with starting right here? This is absolutely a glorious community.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege of having firsthand knowledge of the young people in this community and the blessing of knowing their parents. These are really quality human beings, and I am really, really comfortable with the idea of taking this huge, seemingly impossible thing and trying to do it here. I think it's going to be well received here.
Right on. I mean, that's awesome. I think it's very cool that you see, the troubles and the challenges that, these kids face and stuff like that. And, you don't think about that because, like you said, ballet is kind of like you think of ballet, you think of it as just kind of like an older world type thing. Now it's like, that's basketball. That's football. Same with those guys or something like that. They go out and they twist an ankle or break their knee or something, they're done.
That's right.
And, it's interesting to hear that, and that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
That, you have to have
Right.
everything good to be able to dance.
Right.
So,
So we
I
really
think
couldn't let that continue. We couldn't
Yeah.
keep feeding into that and just throwing the kids and young adults into the world like that.
so how
yeah.
are you guys going to then promote the fact that education is just as important as what you're doing here on the dance floor?
We've already started to establish some programs with Seton Hill, which has also been very receptive. And I'm just thrilled to death with their department chair there is Tamara Swank. and her vision for the dance department at Seton Hill is equally as inspiring.
Yeah.
So our goal is to have a high school early release program for our dancers so that they do not have to take gym in school. They don't have to necessarily have all the study halls at school. They'll get to leave school early and come and dance every single day.
Yeah.
But they're not completely disconnecting from their high school life. I also had a rule, I've always had it, that my oldest dancers, my most advanced dancers, my high school dancers, they don't dance past 6 o'clock on a Friday. They get to go, and if they have a special dance, if they have a test, they're excused from class.
Yeah.
If knowledge is power, then I want them to have that. I absolutely want them to have that. So there is a genuine effort here for them to not disconnect. And one of the ways I'm hoping to encourage professional dancers to this little unknown company in this small rural, kind of semi-rural community is a dancer in transition program, which I'm working on with Tamara Swank from Seton Hill, where professional dancers looking at potentially the last 4 to 5 years of their career could come and dance with us, teach at the college, teach with us, dance with us, and then by means of teaching at the college, have some kind of scholarship program or teacher internship program where they could get a college education while they're dancing the last 4 years of their career.
Yeah.
Then, they get to finish dancing and if they choose, live a completely different life.
That's fantastic.
So that's what I'm really hoping to do, not just for the kids in our community that are coming up through our community, but for the dancers that are coming out of that community. So many of the dancers that are coming out of that community, they've lived away from home from the time they were 16, some as young as I mentioned before, 14.
Wow.
I think that's a travesty. I think any company that takes a 14, 15, 16-year-old apprentice into the company, I think that's unethical.
Yeah.
There should be an age limit. They should not be able to take any child under the age of 18.
Yeah.
Because they put them immediately in this adult situation and they lose their childhood and their maturity doesn't develop as it should. Their academic doesn't develop as it should. And then they get to the end, maybe they have a glorious dance career. And I have loved the dancers I've known, the dancers who visited and guest taught and danced for me, danced my choreography. I've loved them all. But so many of them have been fragmented people.
Yeah.
I know in some way we are all fragmented people.
Sure thing.
But with so many of the dancers I've known, it felt as if they had no other options. Their family was kind of disconnected. Their social group was disconnected. They were disconnected from their original community. And all they had was dance.
Yeah. I mean, that's gotta be a tough thing for them. Like when kids their age are out, washing cars or cutting grass for money or shoveling snow or something, they're working super hard, in the studio and for, how many hours a day?
Right.
And for no money.
And for no money.
Their parents are still supporting
Oh.
them. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
geez.
that's the
Apprenticeships are
that's
not paid.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an additional travesty.
Wow.
Companies will take 30 apprentice girls, and sometimes boys, girls and boys, with the hope that 3 of them will get into the company in the next season.
Yeah.
But the reality is most of the time they don't even choose those 3 from the apprentice. And they will use them. They will use them. They're a free snow corps. They're a free waltz corps. They're a free Willie's corps. And their parents in that are continuing to support them because it's looked at as on-the-job training. But it's really, it's a ridiculously unfair. I think any company that takes more apprentice dancers than it genuinely intends to consider to hire, I really think that's wrong. I think somewhere along the way, ballet forgot that, sure, it's a business, that you want to make money, but art is different than a regular business. Art doesn't want to just make money. Art should want to make a difference.
Right.
So I think somewhere along the way that's been lost. And we gotta find it again, especially here in the United States where it's free will for people to dance.
Yeah.
That's where you get real artists, in my opinion, people who love it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I think it's wild. This is so interesting. I had no idea that there was like kind of this dark side to dance, I guess.
Right.
But you know, I think every little girl grows up just, you know, wanting to be a ballerina. And, you know, here I sit 36 years old and I had no idea any of this was going on. You know, I mean, it's pretty wild. I don't even have anything in my mind that I could even compare it to, really. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, I think the closest you might be able to compare it to is young men going into college on basketball scholarships or football scholarships.
Yeah, that would be like the closest.
It's closest, but again, the difference is they are 18 years old.
Right, yeah.
Or older. And they have lived at home with their parents that whole high school career. And they have been connected to their community. And not only that, they're getting a college education.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's difficult to compare it really to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose perhaps some professional athletes in other sports, Olympic athletes, pretend, possibly.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And so few actually make it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason we want to focus on what I call the existentials of ballet, rather than you've got 20 kids in the room. You're one of them, two of them maybe goes on to dance professionally. So give them everything ballet can give them.
Yeah.
When I walk in the room, there are girls there with perfect bodies for ballet, and there are girls with perfect bodies for soccer.
Right, yeah.
But they all want to do ballet. So when I walk into the room, I'm not saying to myself, well, ballet wants this girl and ballet wants that girl. Mm-mm. I'm saying to myself, what can ballet, this big, powerful thing, do for this kid?
Right.
What can ballet do for this kid? Right. Yeah. That's and I want the focus of the whole school to be like that. I want to bring in teachers where that's their thought process. I want to have this build because, frankly, I'm kind of older and out of shape. And I'm not going to do this for a long time. Oh, dude, I'm going to come over there and push you down. I'll push you down first.
Yeah, and Judy really does bring that to each and every kid. She walks in and doesn't just teach those two kids that are going to go on. She makes choreography that is going to work beautifully for every kid. Mm-hmm. And it comes up to meet them where they are, not trying to push them up to where ballet is. She's really bringing it to them.
It's very interesting. I like your approach. I mean, the approach is very, very cool. And from what you're telling me, very unique. I think it's really neat. Let me ask you, what do most dancers then do when they're done dancing? Like if that ends like early, do they go into teaching or...
Well, I know an awful lot of heartbroken people. Mm-hmm. When you have a kid that really, really wants to dance, I tell them, that I give them the dark side and I try to prepare them for that. And then I throw them into the world and I pray. Mm-hmm. But right now, the young woman that springs to mind, absolutely beautiful little dancer. She left me early. She left me too soon, in my opinion, and she went to study at another school, very, very where she actually lived at the school. And she labored away for years, apprentice corps after apprentice corps after apprentice corps, until her parents said, "Listen, we can't do it anymore." And she went to school and she tried to get a business degree. I think she did, but she's not happy.
Yeah.
What happens to a lot of them, too, is that they think they can teach. Well, if I can't do it, I can teach. Mm-hmm. But that has its real limitations as well.
Because when you're a performer, you're used to performing. There's a big difference between performing and teaching.
Right.
Which, I hope that I can help fill some gaps with. Being an educator myself, being a yoga teacher, I do help train yoga teachers to be teachers. Mm-hmm. It's a different skill. You might be great at doing the yoga, or doing the dance, but you have to think about how did you learn how to do that? And maybe it's been so long, or maybe it came so easy to you that you never knew how you learned. You just did it.
Right.
So it doesn't always equate into a great teacher.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like you're lacking those people skills as well. And like you said, that might have came natural to you. You don't know that you have to give that information. I have a YouTube channel where I teach beginners how to use cameras and things like that. And I always forget that there are basic steps that I'm forgetting. I get emails from people and they're like, okay, now I shot this video. How do I get the video onto my computer?
Right.
And I'm thinking like, well, I mean, you just pop the card out and you put it in your computer and there it is.
It's a basic.
But that's the thing. I mean, like, if you're going to teach somebody something, then you need to kind of disconnect from your own specific knowledge and really kind of meet them on their level. They have no idea.
That's right.
So, I mean, I'm sure that would be hard for somebody who's been in the dance business for 10, 15 years, their whole lives or something, and to go back to the very basics of,
Exactly.
whatever. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I think it's easiest for me to equate it to translation. A lot of people can have a ton of information in their head, but they have difficulty translating it to the specific need of any individual child in the class.
Yeah.
Talking to them on their level or speaking to them in a way they will understand. That's why not every teacher is the right teacher. Sometimes, a child needs, that's one of the reasons we attempt to staff. We are going to attempt to staff the school with a multiple of teachers so that there's at least a multiple of opportunities for each child to find that teacher that actually makes that connection. You can have one teacher give you the same correction 100 times, and then another key teacher comes in, it's a different voice, it's a different approach. Boom, you've got it. So that's necessary too.
Yeah, and we do have a lot of interdisciplinary educational things happening on the ground floor as well with the kids that are enrolled in the school. We try to do field trips that have little educational ties just to bring it into their lives a little bit more and connect to more of their knowledge base to keep it, exercise that whole brain, that corpus callosum part of their brain that music education activates. Dance does the same thing. And we want to keep that sort of firing all those neurons, build their little brains.
Yeah.
And build older brains too.
Absolutely.
We're actually hoping to have the school be extremely inclusive, so that we have students, preschool students and senior citizen students, and everywhere in between. Maybe some special education students.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already have that in the works. Yeah,
we have all of those things in the works. I'm telling you, we've got so many things in the works. I just stare at the ceiling at night and shake.
Yeah.
Yeah, our heads are spinning. We are.
It's tough to go to sleep.
It's top down and bottom up is what I keep saying, because we're literally like building the floors and then like meeting with board of director members and talking to them on the phone while we're wiping drywall dust.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's how we're living these days. Yeah, so
That's
that's all
the
worth
hustle.
it. Yes, it is. Yes, a nonprofit hustle.
Right?
A nonprofit hustling.
Yeah, we really think the community has a lot to offer to our endeavor as well. Mm-hmm. All these artists in transition, we think Greensburg really offers a livable environment for artists and a place that makes it accessible for people to appreciate and consume as well.
Yeah.
We have all these great puzzle pieces, as we mentioned, and Greensburg being one of them.
Yeah. So being like all inclusive with like ages and different types of people and all kinds of stuff, is there is the end result like a show? Do they need to perform? Like, what if it's like one of my aunt, who's, 52 years old, and she just wants to kind of come to not only learn maybe, but, it's a physical activity.
Absolutely.
Maybe dance and be very active in things. Can people just come in for lessons, or does it have to be like a show at the end, or what?
All performance is voluntary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for many of our classes, they're not necessary. We won't do showcases for, many of our classes.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we have someone like your aunt who has a very specific interest and she says, boy, I'd really like to be part of it. There are so many areas where she actually could. There's a party scene in the beginning of Nutcracker where there are adults who wander around in pretty costumes and occasionally take a lovely step.
Yeah.
There are, and those kind of opportunities exist in a lot of ballets, not necessarily in a lot of the contemporary ballets, but in the classics that are provided. Those are always sections because, frankly, even in 200 years ago when they were doing the original choreography for Swan Lake and Giselle and all those things, they had older dancers in the company that had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
People who really just could not dance anymore and maybe were not the most favorite teachers, and yet they employed them. They took care of them, and they did it in these, what we might call cameo roles or character,
like extras
or character
like
roles. Yes.
Because
Character.
that drive doesn't leave you. That love of dance doesn't leave you ever. Ever. Yeah. I mean, I danced for 20 years growing up. Judy obviously has lots of more dance experience than that as well. Yeah. And it just, and a lot of our parents sort of have that drive and, and our kids have come along to that love themselves.
Yeah, she just said a really important word. These children that I have right now, these parents that approached me to see if this was, something that I would be interested in doing with them. I'm hoping that when they look around, when we walk into that new studio space and they look around, I hope that they feel it to the core of their being, that this thing was built, every single inch of it, because their parents love them.
Yeah.
Because their parents love them. So that when they look around at this beautiful new facility.
I'm going to cry.
Oh my God, she's crying.
I'm sorry.
No, that's awesome. I think
She's going to cry. If I look at her, we're all going to cry.
I'm telling you, I'll start crying. God damn it.
How old are your kids? Do you have kids?
Two boys.
Okay. Well, we'll take them.
So one he's a brute. He's 7. He's going to be our football guy. He's going to be our wrestler. I don't know. Convict. I'm just kidding. But yeah, and then our older guy, his birthday's today.
Oh.
He just turned 13. His name's Gio. But
Happy
he's
birthday, Gio.
Yeah, he's more the he's like the smart dude. He's the guy that's like out there winning all the geography B's and moving on to the states and all of that stuff. Right. So and he likes sports too, but I think that the education really kind of tickles his fancy a little bit more than team sports and things like that.
Right.
So I do see like what you guys are talking about. Like the education is just as important as like being out there and doing something that you like to do. I mean, I see it every day.
Right.
So
yeah, and when I see this endeavor, I see it for the love of my own children. Obviously, I have 3 girls invested in ballet and only ballet. I mean, they tried other things and they picked dandelions while they played t-ball and wore tutu and frilly socks because that helped them run faster before Fancy Nancy existed. And then, but I see it for the community. I want to build this for future generations of children to fill this void. I mean, these puzzle pieces all come together and there's no professional ballet. Yeah. Where is it? It's the crowning jewel.
That's right.
Where is the closest? Is it Pittsburgh? Is it
a professional ballet company?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh actually has several, but PBT is the ballet company.
Yeah.
Where I danced as a young dancer.
Yeah. When did you start?
Well, very young.
Yeah.
But I was at Pittsburgh Ballet probably from the age of around 9 through 16, 17.
Okay.
Actually maybe somewhere in that my high school time, the original artistic director of PBT was ousted. And there was this division and there was his group and then there was the new group. I can't remember who they brought in. I probably would if I thought about it. But so then I went on to other companies to dance. But,
yeah. Well, that's really neat. When did you start dancing, Maggie?
I think it was 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I started in rec programs when I was 3. I danced at a school in Westview by Pittsburgh called Ballet Baroque. It's not there anymore. But we were close enough to Pittsburgh that teachers from PBT came all the time and taught there. Yeah. So we had nice high ceilings like we have in our new studio. And it was above an auto body place. So for a while, my dad pulled me out because he was worried about fumes and this and that.
Right,
but,
yeah. I mean, that's a valid concern.
It was a valid concern.
That's dad's.
That's dad's, yes. Yeah, but we were very lucky to live close enough to Pittsburgh to have teachers there very readily. So, yeah.
Yeah, there are other ballet schools, dance schools. There are lots of them in the area.
Yes.
There's not a professional ballet company. That's
Right.
really what the goal is. We're really aiming, that's where we're aiming. And all these other dance schools that are existing around us, they have very, very valid, reasons and very valid, reasons to exist in the community as well.
Sure.
Not everybody is going to be interested in the kind of high discipline training that we're going to be
Right.
offering,
Yeah.
And these other dance schools where their idea is more that they want to be competitive, they want to do the dance competitions.
Yeah.
We're open to those dancers as well. Any of them that want some ballet to augment their competition career, they're going to be more than welcome to come take private lessons, take classes. I can't count on both hands, both feet, and all the feet and hands in this room the number of dance competition dancers I have privately instructed because that they wanted the ballet to help them. But I have no interest in trying to steal them from some other school.
Yeah,
Everybody gets to choose where they want to be, what they want their goal to be. So I'm delighted that they have this social activity with a physical aspect that they enjoy.
Right. People say,
really
why
neat.
can't you go to this dance school? Why can't you go to that dance school? I say, because it's a dance school.
Yeah.
We need a ballet school that has enough hours in the day to get enough ballet instruction in a week. My 13-year-old takes 10 hours of ballet a week. There's enough hours in the week to take ballet and jazz and tap and everything else and get 10 hours of ballet at the end of the week. There's not enough hours in the day. So
Right.
if
So
that's
you
what you're
guys
looking
are-
for, that's what we're here to provide.
Yeah.
That is not to say that we don't have variety to support it. There's a strong curriculum of modern and yoga for dancers, character, some jazz. We
Yeah,
have in the
character,
works.
jazz, and folk. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the things we just mentioned are there to augment the ballet training. The reason we want to have modern on a regular basis for our most advanced students is because there isn't a ballet company in the world anymore that doesn't do contemporary work.
Yeah.
Everybody is doing some modern, some contemporary work. And that's the same reason we want them to occasionally have jazz. I have students that when they graduated and they went on to college, they ended up on Broadway. They weren't in ballet companies, they were in musicals. So everybody can find their direction. We just need to them to have a little bit of those things to help augment the education we're trying to give them.
Yeah. And auditioners and producers, directors can spot someone who has enough ballet training from a mile away because it doesn't go away. I mean, you carry yourself, you sit up straight. Yeah. You point your toes.
I have a young woman now who's in New York studying. She's at college in New York and modern. But of course she trained with me in ballet all her life. Extraordinarily gifted child. Oh, well, she's not a child anymore. She wouldn't have appreciated that. But she has a real gift for choreography. Very talented kid. In any ballet class that I can think of that I wasn't the teacher, she'd have been put in a corner and used to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And what an incredible treasure they would have missed, because she is incredible, absolutely incredible. So I missed my point completely. But one of her teachers in her first year there stopped her and said, "You come from a classic ballet background?" And she said, "Yes." And she wasn't quite sure what to make of the question.
Yeah.
Because he just asked the question and she said yes, and he nodded and walked away. And then the next class, he turned to another student and said, "You come from a jazz background, don't you?" And so that she immediately knew that he was pleased. And and it is true. Modern performers and modern choreographers will deny it with every bone in their body. But there isn't a modern choreographer or director in the world that doesn't want a classically ballet trained dancer.
Right.
Right. So the universal base for any dance performing arts career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Even singers. I mean, yeah.
The technique of ballet teaches muscular habit. One of the reasons a lot of kids don't want to take ballet is because if they're 7 years old and their mother takes them to a jazz class, they instantly feel like they're dancing because they're kind of wiggling around,
Yeah,
they're shaking
yeah.
this and they're shaking that. When they come into a ballet class when they're 7 years old, we're doing pas tendu, heel forward, toe back,
Yeah.
knees, so we're teaching muscular alignment and habit. So that when they get older, they can do all this jazz, all this contemporary, all these other wonderful things, but they have the technique and the placement that keeps them from being injured constantly. The more advanced the work, the more important it is that they have that technical foundation that makes that keeps their leg in alignment, that keeps their body in alignment, so that they're not constantly suffering from serious injury.
Yeah. I mean, is this why you see, guys taking ballet, like who are like football players or basketball players or something like that? Is it about the muscular like alignment
muscle
and
memory?
things? Yeah.
Yeah. To to land from their jumps and put their heel down and land softly and not injure themselves. Absolutely.
Or land consistently full-footed with the knee right over the middle of the foot.
Yeah.
That's why, and of course, flexibility and how to get up, how to jump, how to do those things. Some people, that's a natural gift. Their body is already kind of aligned well, and so as they get, they're building the muscles in the correct way because the alignment's kind of naturally there.
Yeah.
Most people have to learn that, and it really has. I have had athletes over the years. Years and years and years ago, I had a whole class of athletes that once a month they came in and took a class. And I do think it gave them an edge.
Yeah.
They seemed to feel it was giving them an edge.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. If they kept coming back, for sure.
Yeah,
We do owe the Penn Trafford football team pretty big. They did a lot of our heavy lifting for us.
Yes.
We may need to offer them a class.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how excited are you guys to be part of this resurgence in Greensburg?
The time is now.
It really
Absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. I mean, the time was now for us to transition into a new endeavor anyway. And yeah, we stepped right into it, right in the right time.
Absolutely. The vibe here is just kind of, I don't really know what to compare it to. I guess there are little pockets of places where you will associate something with, like, the grunge movement formed here. And,
Right, yeah.
it has that vibe right now.
Something's happening.
Yes,
right?
that this is like
Yeah.
this is the place for like innovation and really good new ideas. And I think the cultural support here is so phenomenal.
Yeah.
That even the little, like what April Copus up at the Westmoreland Trust would call the little C's, which are cultural things that are not necessarily the biggies, like the symphony and the ballet and the.
Yeah.
That was my analogy.
But was that
Yeah.
true? I'm sorry. Well, April
Don't
used to.
misquote her. Yes, she did. She liked it. She adopted it. She did adopt it. Yes.
The little things, like the microbreweries and the
Yeah. Right.
and the coffee
Sort of the pop
shops,
culture
right.
versus yeah.
Streamlined stuff.
Yeah.
I think that everyone around here knows that something's happening or something's going to happen, and everyone's getting excited about it.
And everyone's working together.
Yeah, it's really neat. There's
I
like
think
this.
everyone's kind of adopted an attitude that we are certainly on board of is everyone's going to end up where they should be.
Yes.
So there's not this competition of like, oh, well, my store is this and da, 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 da.
Exactly.
Everybody wants everybody to make their own decisions and end up where they want to be because that's where people are going to end up anyway.
Yeah.
And that's where they end up happiest.
Yeah.
They're not going to stay where they're not happy. I mean, and that's how we work together with, Stage Right. People are like, well, don't they have dance class? How are you? Because if they want dance class for theater, that's where they go. If they want ballet for ballet, they come to us. If they want ballet for a week, they come to us.
Yes.
It's whatever they want.
It's cool.
So.
Yeah. It's very much, things are starting to take shape around here, and it's very much starting to be more of a community over competition type of thing. I actually found that hashtag on Instagram. I was sharing a video of the podcast, and I typed in community, and that's what popped up. And I was like, whoa, I really like this. So I've been using it, and I've been using it a lot on the podcast. I've been using it. It's just like, it
Community
really
over
is.
competition?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's just like something that's really cool, and it resonates with me. And I feel like it resonates with all, of the business owners and even artists just
Right.
that know that this buzz is just happening around here.
really
Absolutely, yeah.
It's very neat. I mean, like, just to talk to like anybody about, I moved back here I lived in Lancaster and I came back here to be around my family. And, when I moved back here in like 2014, there was nothing going on here. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was sad. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would only come to Greensburg, go to the bar, and then, somebody would give us a ride home or whatever.
Right.
But,
Sure.
So, right.
Sure.
I was sitting there thinking like, shit, my mom's going to hear this. Yeah. So it was just like, there was nothing really to do except for like come out and maybe grab a bite to eat somewhere and then like go to the bar. Yeah.
Sure, get there early.
Dear Lord, be there before 5 o'clock because,
they roll up the streets.
Yeah.
They roll up the streets.
Yeah. And now there's people walking around. Yeah.
6 years later, I mean, here we are. And so much has happened. It's just... South Pennsylvania Avenue right now is like kicking so much ass. I want to see Main Street doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think that, with the addition of you guys, you got the White Rabbit right up there.
Mm-hmm. Dough Fire's going in.
Dough Fire's coming in.
Sundog.
Sundog is...
Yeah.
I'm taking my wife there. Her birthday's tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
So the oldest, his birthday is today. And Jessie, my wife, her birthday is tomorrow. So we're going to Sundog tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty pumped.
Nice.
It's awesome. They offer like great food that you can't find anywhere around here.
Very true.
I went, I got a ramen bowl the last time I was there.
Yeah.
Try to find a ramen bowl anywhere here, anywhere near us, besides like the north side of
Somebody
Pittsburgh.
put in Thai. Please bring us Thai.
There is a Thai
Indian.
place. There is a Thai
Oh,
place.
yeah. Where?
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to say it. I think it's called Razame or
Oh,
something
no.
like that.
I know. Yeah. They're kind of up. Oh, I can take you.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're...
It's good.
It's like a little
food.
bit of a back street, kind of,
All right.
If you go
yeah.
up, if you go straight up from stage right,
Okay.
and then turn right and then turn left, it's that little white house that used to be like a bakery. Now they've made it a Thai
Yeah,
restaurant.
I think it's light blue. It's
Okay.
it's very
Is it light blue
unassuming.
now?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like it looks like a
Put
house.
it in. All right.
But the Thai there is very awesome. It's really good. They have my favorite is the Thai basil rice. Oh my good Lord, that's something else. But
And how much of this, like how many female entrepreneurs have you talked to?
Oh my
when was the
God.
last time you talked to a male entrepreneur?
seriously,
I guess I should say.
yeah, my wife asked the same question. She's like,
She's
"What are?"
like, you're just talking to ladies
She's
over
like, "You're in
there.
there just hanging out with chicks all day." It's
Don't worry, Jess, we're not chicks.
No,
I'm old enough
we're
to be
old
his
married
mom.
ladies. Yeah.
She but she did comment. She said like, you have a lot more females coming in, like, and next week I do have Tommy from the White Rabbit coming in.
Oh, he's
very
so great.
excited.
Yeah.
He's been like one of the most suggested guests.
Yeah,
and
he's awesome.
It took a little doing to get him to agree to do it, but he's ready to do it. And I'm so excited to see that, like, I don't care if it's women who are doing these businesses, guys who are doing it. I don't care if my dog can do it. That's
Right.
awesome. Great.
Well, I'm
But
really
in the ballet world.
in the ballet world.
Yeah.
I'm really I'm really
huge.
happy to see this be an army of women.
Yeah.
In the ballet world, it has been ridiculously dominated by men. The authority positions have been ridiculously on.
Really?
Yeah, you'd
Oh,
think,
I would've never
right? It's
guessed.
full of women, but
I'm not going to out
running it.
anybody in particular, but there have been last year there were 2 supposed events that celebrated women.
Yeah.
Ballet companies held 2 different events. Not a single female choreographer produced either of those works.
Wow.
They are the number of directors, choreographers compared male to female is unbelievably poor. You even like the Youth American Grand Prix, which is a ballet competition, which is one of the state of the art. It's like the ballet competition. It's not a normal dance competition. There's really a lot to go with it, but they announced their judges for last year, and 12 people, 1 woman.
Oh my gosh.
And you have to realize that the overwhelming majority of young people they're going to be watching and judging are young women.
Right.
So it's really something that I'm hoping will be addressed in the ballet world. But I'm like, again,
Yeah.
why not here? Why not
Right.
now? Why not
Yeah.
us?
You guys are going to be that changed. And that's so insane. If you guys would have been like, hey, I'll put up $1 million on the table right now, tell me who runs the choreography around, I would have absolutely said women.
Yeah.
That's so wild to me. Yeah, that's crazy that that is the way it is.
Yes. Needs to be a big breath of air.
Yeah. Well, hey.
But Judy already has been breathing into the community.
Yeah.
I mean, her bringing in of modern ballet classes, allows the kids opportunities to work on their own choreography. And Nicole.
Oh,
talk about our Nicole.
Our modern instructor. She's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll tell you, she was a ballet student of mine. She grew up with me. And she went off to school. She danced at Le Bon. She danced at Tisch. She danced at Philadelphia School of the Arts, and got a degree and came. I'll tell you, not a ballet body, but of all the dancers I ever produced, beautiful ballet bodies, I really felt that Nicole was one of the ones that could have made the hugest impact on the world of dance.
Wow.
And she came back to Greensburg, and she married, and she has children, but she's still teaching. She teaches at Seton Hill. She teaches with us. And anytime I ask her to do choreography, it's always phenomenal work. Nicole Wagaman-Slavin.
Nice.
Slavin. Slavin. She would punch me in the face right now. She seriously does not care for me to praise her in any way, but she's an exceptional person too. I think it's wonderful to be an exceptional dancer, an exceptional choreographer. That's all great stuff. But I think the real challenge of life is to be a quality human being. And Nicole is a quality human being.
That's good. You gotta, I mean, like, it's like the age-old tale, man. I mean, like, you surround yourself with great people. You surround yourself with motivational people, successful people, and that's what you start to become. That's what you get. You know, if you jump into the bad crowd, I mean, we've all seen that story.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
our whole board is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if have we talked about them enough? I don't know. I'm
Well,
just one of them.
I'm honest. I am seriously hoping that they do not hold it against me, because they have to know that dance is a nonverbal art form, and this is one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever done in my whole entire
You're
life.
doing great. So yeah, we like to say that Judy's our first example of our workforce development.
Yeah.
Because in her previous career, she never really signed the contracts and never really did any of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, Judy, you can do this.
Yeah.
Do it. Write it. I'll edit. Write it. Say it. Do it. And yeah, so we're getting her like set up and kind of, reinforced and built up as her own business person. Because, I mean, dancers and yoga teachers and dance teachers are all independent contractors. There's no benefits. There's no employee. There's no employer. So you really need to stand on your own legs and know your own worth and know how to ask for it and make things happen for yourself and promote yourself and all that. So it's a whole ball of wax that nobody really teaches you. So we're providing the mentorship, and it goes both ways. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm her mentor, but we do build each other up.
Well, yeah, sure.
Well,
in every way.
This is absolutely a pyramid with us all leaning against each other in some way or another. Frankly, things don't happen any other way. I don't think it's reasonable to expect any big, huge thing to come. I mean, what kind of narcissistic, maniacal, gargoyle does it take to think that you can, that you're going to, I can do anything and I will do everything. And, if you don't have it, if you don't have the ability to appreciate the people around you for their strengths, and sometimes even for what you perceive as their weaknesses, then chuck it in, go home, curl up in bed, wait to die. Because that's you're a waste of air if you can't do that.
I mean, it's great to surround yourself with people that are right. I mean, I've talked to many people about, but you're an expert in one thing, and there is the whole like jack of all trades thing. Yes, you can know certain things about everything, but when you're really an expert at something, then people come to you for that. And, me being in video and things like that, if I need somebody, on my team, somebody to help me, then I know who to go to. I have those people lined up. I know this guy's an expert at running camera. I know this girl over here edits amazing videos. So I dole out that work, accordingly.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what we've done since we started in September, we started classes in September. We've done 15 appearances, 15 shows in 5 venues or maybe 6 venues and 5 different pieces of choreography.
It's a lot.
I mean,
It's a
that
lot.
fast. And
this past September?
yes,
You've done all
September
that
2019.
since
yes.
Holy
since September.
cow.
Yes,
Yeah.
while running a full schedule of classes, not taking time away from class for rehearsal.
Do you guys sleep?
While
No.
meeting with everybody in the community
we have
that would be willing to meet with us while
still have the widest-
while acquiring the
Yeah, we had our
the new facility while trying to
building
get it and building it and trying to get
Yeah.
our feet on the ground. I think that now the new facility is a real game changer, because before that we were kind of ethereal. We were ghosts floating around the city, and nobody wants to put their time and their energy into something that they're not sure is going to work.
Right.
And you put a little brick and mortar behind you, and then all of a sudden it looks like, hey, you know what? Maybe they're here.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we are definitely here. We're
here.
We're not. I'm not failing these people now.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
not.
Well, and I mean, there's all of ballet on our back too. I mean, we have a lot going on. Yeah. I mean, in the past week, we've doubled our enrollment, more than doubled it. We've gained more than 100 followers on our social media. I mean, it's all,
That's fantastic.
it's blowing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yay!
cool.
It's blowing up.
She might not have heard some of these numbers. That might have been news. We're having a meeting here, okay? Just
Right. Yeah.
I'm a nervous person by nature. My you wouldn't know it. My brain's a bag
That's
full
okay.
of cats.
I'll tell you what. I think one of the biggest things, the best things that I learned in business so far is just being uncomfortable is actually the best place you can be. When you're comfortable, like you said, you're just curled up in bed, right, and waiting to die.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
everything's on autopilot. What the hell are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
right.
So stay uncomfortable. That's my thing. You're
Stay
nervous.
hungry.
That's awesome. I like it.
Can do.
Let me ask you one thing, and this is just something that is like eating away at my brain forever, ever. How long does it take to learn how to stand there up on your tippy toes? That freaks me out to a level that I can't even describe. When I see somebody doing it, like my neighbor, I grew up next to this girl who was, in ballet and stuff, and she would just stand there like that forever, and I'm like, you're gonna break your toes. It's wild.
It is. Well, first of all, you need an excellent pre-point teacher. You need a lot of training before that. You can't just jump in. Every little girl wants to jump into a pair of point shoes.
Absolutely.
I taught my oldest
until they have them.
until they have them.
No, mine.
And then then they run screaming, crying. I mean, I taught my oldest how to tie. They had to learn how to tie shoes, to tie a knot. I said, "Here's an old pair of point shoes." She used the satin because that was such a challenge to tie the satin laces. That's how she learned to tie shoes. So it's a good motivator. But yeah, you need a lot of foundation work.
and you have to be old enough.
Yes.
Some other countries, they'll put children on points anywhere they really don't care. They have so many dancers and so many bodies that they're disposable. And I think that feeling has kind of seeped its way into a lot of American companies as well, which is disturbing. But they will put their children on point way too young. They have to be a certain age. The growth plates in their feet have to have been closed or pretty close, or so, and they have to be technically strong enough.
Yeah. I mean, what part of the toe are you actually standing on? Like, are you on like the knuckles of you're up? Oh my good Lord.
Well, the
Yes.
shoes are
It's
constructed.
freaking me out.
Yes, but
It's
listen to the
freaking me
shoe.
out.
Yeah,
The
the
shoe-
shoe's constructed that way.
Yeah.
The shoe is constructed with what they call the shank is the back of the shoe, which is very strong, helps to support the weight.
Yeah.
And then there
Wood
is
and metal.
yeah.
Okay.
And
okay.
then
To support the arch.
And then the box of the shoe, for the most part, is strengthened cardboard.
Okay.
But a lot of people now are using fiberglass based so that they don't break as quickly. They don't
that's
break
cool.
as easily. Yeah, the very first point shoes were nothing more than technique shoes that had been darned around the top to make them a little stiff.
yeah.
A little stiff.
How often do they go through ballet shoes? I've heard
Would you
that
like to guess how much they cost? Let's start with that.
this is now I don't know. I might surprise you.
Okay.
somewhere in my weird life, I don't know if it was at the bar, I remember talking about this.
But we know you didn't drive home. We know that
Right.
much. Okay.
Definitely not.
Nope. Mom, he didn't drive home.
I'm gonna like $90.
Yeah.
Somewhere
Close to
around
100.
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
between 90 and 100.
I
yeah.
can retain information apparently. So somewhere around in there. But the thing that I am forgetting is how many times a year do these shoes have to be replaced?
A year?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on the dancer.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a little one who's just gotten her point shoes, she can have those shoes for months.
Until she grows
Unless
out
she,
of them, right?
yeah,
Right.
until she grows out of them, because we don't put them on point, once a week, or a half hour here, a half hour there, so that it's not grueling, it's not torturous for the body. But professional dancers can go through a pair of shoes in a performance.
Holy smokes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's expensive.
That could get
thing.
expensive real
It's
fast.
an expensive thing, yes. And dancers do all kind of things to their shoes to make them last or to make them form fit, make them better for their particular feet.
Really
It's all
neat.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the African American dancers used to have to put makeup on them, but now they just this year started making them in
In skin tone
different
for-
colors of skin tones. Yeah.
Just this year that
Just
happened.
this year, yes.
Really?
Just this year.
Misty
Wow.
Copeland is a principal dancer now, ABT, right? And she has done incredible things for the world of ballet. Just incredible things for the world, just by her existence. So I think that it's important for us to look at those situations and those people. Wendy Whelan just retired, but her story of how she became principal dancer is again another one that was it's just life-changing. We have to look to these women and see how they are changing the world of ballet in the face of ballet for the better. That's why we need more women
That's what you
in
guys are
charge.
doing.
That's what we
That's
need.
what you're going to do.
We're
Give them your tagline.
we're starting.
Strong women.
All my life I've told my dancers, what does the world need? Strong women.
There you
More
go.
than anything else, the world needs strong women.
That's awesome. I love it. I grew up around strong women, so I love it.
That doesn't mean nasty, doesn't mean ugly, doesn't
Right.
mean, it means strong enough to have an opinion, strong enough to say what it is, strong enough to stand up for yourself, strong enough to go into something wholeheartedly and say, listen, I'm going to do my best.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yay.
We just hit the hour mark. How do you
All right.
guys feel about that?
Awesome.
I feel glad.
Was it easier than you thought?
You made it very easy.
Well, thank you, sir.
Unfortunately, I think that I may have just started to just talk to you like I was just talking to you, and
That's
I'm
what
hoping
this is all about.
hoping I didn't say anything that made me come off as like this total.
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
That's what this whole thing's about.
Yeah.
It's all about just having a good conversation. And like I said, I'm not the expert here. I know nothing about ballet, but it's interesting to me because then I get to learn it, and we just have a normal conversation about something cool that you guys know.
Okay, great.
Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you guys, social media wise, and if you want to, toss out
Some events.
the events
All right.
and where
So
the new space is.
Right. So we are at 41 North Main Street, right in downtown Greensburg. Our web address is westmorelandballet.com. westmorelandballet@gmail.com is an email. Does anybody want a phone number? 724. Oh, yeah. Facebook is Westmoreland Ballet. Instagram was Westmoreland Ballet. That works for just about everything. Plug in Westmoreland Ballet and it'll come up.
And I think if they want a phone number, they can get it offline.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to write
that's
it down. And what else? So events we have coming up here in town on March 20th. We're going to have our grand opening gala. We'll have kids performing. We'll have some live music, food, and drinks, of course. And then March 1st, we're performing in Pittsburgh and by invitation only to a ballet showcase. So it's all ballet schools from around Allegheny.
All
Maybe
the rest are Allegheny County.
Oh, we're the only
I believe-
Westmoreland.
I think we're
would
the
think
only
so.
Westmoreland,
Yeah.
Represent.
Yeah.
There you go. I like it.
Yes. So that's March 1st.
And the pieces we're doing are to Borodin, and
amazing.
they are just.
And
I love Borodin.
Kids actually have a couple more days if they want to get on board. and get into the choreography.
Yeah.
Judy will kill me. But yeah, they can still sign up. And yeah, we're open enrollment. So anybody interested in class can jump right in. We'll figure out how to prorate your tuition and all that. Don't worry about any of that. And March 1st. Yeah, I think that's about it for events.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, arrange a tour, send us a DM, send us a message, send a carrier pigeon, whatever, and we'll show you around the building anytime. And
that would be awesome.
I'm in charge of carrier pigeons.
Yeah.
I have no idea what a DM is, but I'm more than happy to handle the pigeons. Or as one of my beloved Cuban dancers would say, pigeons. He had a thing for. Oh, we do. We had our.
He was trying to say mirrors to me the other day. I said, "What?" He said, the thing you look at yourself in. I said, "Oh, mirrors." I said, "The mirrors.
Yuri.
The mirrors are fine."
Mirrors.
You mean the cell phone?
Yeah, I know. I said, any shiny
selfie
surface,
action.
I'll be looking at myself.
Oh, they're charming and they're wonderful.
Yeah.
They've got two. There's two sets of husbands and wives in Pittsburgh, and they both kind of came through me into the area. Damien and Cynthia and Vanessa and Dave.
Yes.
Very cool.
And they're
twins.
They both have a school somewhere, kind of separated from each other in Allegheny County or Moon
Well, they're
Township.
McMurray and Coriopolis, so they're far enough away but close enough. And
they're wonderful and charming, and I love them very much.
Yeah.
But
all summer I said, "We're refugees. Thanks for taking us in." They said, "We're Cubans. It's too soon." But but they were, and so the whole ballet community has been very supportive and receptive. And,
I'm happy.
Yeah,
That's
and even
awesome.
just this week, like I was calling around, like, "Hey, do you have any stuff to clean the floor with?" And people were very willing to help. So yeah.
That's really neat.
I
That's
think when that's
awesome.
what you put out, that's what you get back. So
Do you guys have any plans on maybe partnering with the Palace Theater? Is there any kind of, I could imagine, like around Christmas time or something like that, me and my wife getting some tickets, going to the Palace Theater, seeing a ballet.
well, we do intend to be the professional ballet company here in Westmoreland County, and we will be doing a Nutcracker.
That would be fantastic.
It would be. We're hoping to be able to do it at the Palace. Mm-hmm. If we can't, we will certainly do it somewhere.
Yeah, that would be
and
awesome.
then eventually, but all of our performances we hope to have at the Palace.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking way ahead, I have an original ballet I wrote based on the Borgias, taking a great deal of literary license, and it's called Lucretia. And I'm hoping that that's our premier professional company performance.
Mm-hmm.
I would love the fall of 2021, but I'm probably looking more like the fall of 2022.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to when it pops up, you bring her to see Lucretia.
I will.
Because that's going to be a really cool ballet.
That would be awesome. I have some friends over at the Cultural Trust.
Oh yeah.
Like, yo, what's up? Get these guys in here.
Yeah. Yeah, so we do have plans and proposals for
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah,
I think that
we're
would be
just-
awesome.
Yeah, because
Very
we
cool
do
for the
realize
community.
that, being starting out, we do have some plans to explain.
Yes.
We have resources and we're ready to use them.
That's
Good.
right.
To make it happen.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for being in. I think this is a great place to end. I couldn't have imagined that we talked for an hour and 5 minutes about ballet, and somehow
And you loved it.
I did love it, and I learned a lot. So very interesting. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank
Thanks
you
for-
so much.
Thanks for having us.